What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolfgang Miles back in the kitchen with Cooking with Chaos, and today I got a very special guest, Aaron, lead singer of Vivid and Vulgar, and he has made up a spaghetti recipe that you're not going to want to miss.
What's up, guys? Good to see everybody.
You're watching Cooking with Chaos. Alright, we are back in the kitchen with Cooking with Chaos, and today we got a special guest, Aaron.
What's up, guys?
From Vivid and Vulgar. And he's going to show you the ingredients we need for today's recipe.
Now, I'm going to show you some ingredients that are budget ingredients, as opposed to the ingredients that you would normally get. So for this, we're going to use some Italian sausage and also some regular pork sausage. Normally, I would just use ground Italian and ground pork. However, that costs about 4 times as much as doing it this way. All we do is cut it out of the case and you're good to go. Otherwise, all you need is some mushrooms, some chives, some basil, some eggs, some spaghetti, butter. Definitely gotta have your cream cheese and your garlic. 2 different kinds of cheeses, our Parma mozzarella, some breadcrumbs, some classico, and some whipping cream, and that is all you need, folks. This is gonna be an amazing and different way to cook spaghetti in meatballs. Okay, now that we got our pasta water boiling and our pot heated for our sauce, we're gonna start with the pasta. I'm gonna immediately turn this down, way down, and grab our pasta here. Now, it is extremely important that you know, do not break your pasta. That's a common misconception. It messes with the molecular inside, the molecular structure. You do not want to do that. So the easiest way, at least in my opinion, is you just set it out, let it sit for a minute. They're gonna soften here, and then you can spin them, and I'll show you how to do that, put it down in the water. While you're waiting for that, we're gonna start with our sauce. So the first thing that goes into this is chopped mushrooms. These are portobellos, baby portobellos. We are also going to add 1 stick of butter. And it doesn't matter what kind of butter, you can use the cheap 98-cent butter. That's what I do. And you just toss that right in there. Let that sit for a minute and melt up a little bit. Sounds amazing already. You notice our pasta's getting more and more pliable here. Make sure again you don't break it, but you can just kind of spin it down into the water. And once everything is sunk down in there, you're good to go. Now we got that rolling. We're gonna go ahead and grab some chives here. I did go ahead and pre-chop some. You don't need a whole bunch of onion for this at all. It's got plenty of flavor from the basil. Toss that on in there. And also, a small amount here of chopped basil. Now basil is strong. Don't use a ton because you're going to use it 2 other times in this recipe, 3 times altogether. As that's melting down, also drop yourself, if I can figure out what I do with it. There you go. 1/2 of a Philadelphia cream cheese in there. Let that melt all up as well. We'll let this keep going here. Once this gets a little softer and our spaghetti's a little better, I'll show you how to finish off this sauce. And we'll be good to put it on the spaghetti and we'll take the next step. To this here. Okay, so this sauce is starting to get to where all that cheese has started to melt. It's not 100%, but it's ready for the next ingredients. Our spaghetti is still underdone, so we're waiting on that. Next ingredients you want to add is white wine to taste. I like to use Pinot Grigio when I cook. It's not my favorite to drink, but it's a good white wine to cook with because it's not too overpowering, gives a good flavor, but doesn't make it taste like alcohol. For me, I like wine in there. Makes it taste a little bit more elegant. This is now your time to add your fresh garlic. The reason why we wait until now is because if you add fresh garlic at the beginning, it's going to burn, and there is nothing worse than the taste of burnt fresh garlic in a recipe. It tastes awful. You wait until the liquids are in there, and that way you don't overdo that. And our very last ingredient for the sauce portion of it is heavy whipping cream. Once you do that, it's just cheese, and I was just telling Wulf, this is not a recipe for anybody that's on a diet. Don't do it. You're gonna get fat from this. I can promise you that.
But if you're already fat, it's all good.
That's how I roll, brother. That is how I roll.
Me too, sir.
So these last ingredients for this sauce, as that's melting down, you're gonna go ahead, and there is no measurement for this. If I was to guess, I'd say 3/4 of a cup of mozzarella. Because I like it to be gooey. And same amount of Parmesan cheese. Eyeball this, don't worry about it. It's just gonna be a cheesy, gooey mess. This is for the inside of our meatballs. And that's where we're at right now. As soon as this is ready to go, all we do is we're gonna roll this spaghetti up into this sauce and put it in our freezer and let it sit there for about 15-20 minutes. You want that sauce to cool off and get sticky around the noodles. And once we have that ready to go, I'll show you how to make these meatballs. Okay, so we've got our spaghetti done and drained. It is still hot, so is the sauce. We're gonna take the sauce, and it's as simple as this. You dump it over the top. I did go ahead and save a little bit out. You wanna save maybe 2 or 3 spoonfuls, depending on how many meatballs you are going to make. These meatballs are huge, so if you imagine maybe 2 per person, you don't really need that many. But you wanna mix this all up until it's completely coated and stick it in your freezer. You're good to go in about 20-30 minutes once it hits the freezer. If you have this much sauce, the less sauce you put in it, the quicker it will cool. But what you need to do is you need to have your spaghetti coated in it without it being a liquid like this. It needs to be a hardened form so that once it gets into your meatballs, it'll stay in there and not just turn it into a liquid mess. So this is gonna go into the freezer. As soon as that's ready to go, we'll come out, we'll start making these meatballs. So a quick tutorial on the sausage making. What I did is I used this instead of regular sausage, like I said earlier, because I'm on a budget. So we're trying to do this in a budget-friendly kind of way so that everybody can do it. I don't like Italian sausage. That's me personally. I'm gonna show you how to do this the way that the Italians would do it though. So inside of each one of these casings is all of your sausage. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna open these up, toss these casings. The quickest way and best way to do this for the right flavoring is to use your entire pound of the pork sausage. Use only 2 Italian sausage because they are uber strong. Once you get that in there, you're gonna eyeball this. You usually want about 2/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs. You're also going to once again eyeball and use about a handful of Parmesan cheese. You will need 2 eggs for this. Please remember that when you crack your eggs, most people want to crack them on the corner of something. It's always on the corner of your pot. If you're doing that, you're shoving the shell up into your egg. You don't ever want to do that. Please always crack your eggs on a flat surface, like that. And then you're good to go. Once all of this and 2 of these are in here with your 2 eggs and your breadcrumbs, you're gonna mush it together with your hands and you are ready for your meatballs, which we are about to show you how to do next. Everything's mixed together. All you do is just grab a handful of this and shove it on in there. Once you get it full like this, you're gonna start packing it. You want it to come up out the sides of it, up the top of it, so that you have enough meat left over that you can seal your meatball. So you pack it like this, and we'll do one for you, and then we'll move on from there. Once you've got it packed, the easiest way is kind of pull it aside from this. You see it pop on out. Now you got a half a meatball. You take your fork, twist you up one little bite here, just as if you were taking a bite in a restaurant. Doesn't need a whole lot. If you put too much, you won't be able to seal it. The main goal is to make sure that there's none sticking out the sides. If it's sticking out the sides, it'll break your seal and it will not work. Also, please keep in mind you're working with raw pork, so any of this is going to be ruined once you touch it with these meaty hands. So take your half a meatball and set her aside. Make you another half a meatball. You'll have to re-grease this every second meatball. With this meatball, or this half of the meatball, I'm sorry, you're going to take some of your sauce that we had set aside. It's now hardened from the freezer. You just set that right in there on the top. And that way, when everything gets hot in our fryer, it'll all melt together and make a liquid. Are we into this?
We're in.
Into this?
We're
okay. So right now we're just covering these meatballs in this boiling sauce, and all this sauce was, if you guys remember, was just mushrooms and butter in the sauce. So we're gonna let that sit. Now you've already fried these; they are already cooked. We're just trying to get the middle done. They do not need more than 5, maybe 10 minutes in there, depending on how long you fried them. Be careful with it because if you overcook them, it spaghetti is all going to turn into a mush, and it's disgusting. So don't do it that way. But we'll yank these out in a minute, and we'll plate it up, and we'll show you how it tastes. There is your spaghetti and all your sauce in each one of your meatballs. Ladies and gentlemen, that is spaghetti in meatballs, Italian style. Get you some meatball in that motherfucker too.
Oh man.
Oh, mother glory. It's hot.
Dude.
Yeah.
One more. Mwah. Like we do it back in the old country.
Yes. This, ladies and gentlemen, has been Cooking with Chaos.
We'll see you on the next one, baby.